Hello. I'm just waiting for a few people to arrive. I'm Mohan. Hi. Get started in a minute or two. Let's put my speaker on. Hi, Elise. It was all a bit last minute, but can you hear me okay? Can I hear you? You have to say something.
Right. I was muted.
Oh,
How's it sound?
yeah,
You
perfect.
good?
Yep. So I think there's about 10, 12 people. So we'll see. Just wait a minute and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Hi, Roy.
Hello.
How's it going over there?
Hi, Elise.
Hi.
I think this is more the usual suspects, except Mohan. Have we met before? I can't remember.
Oh no, I let me turn them. Can
Feel
you hear
free
me?
to put your camera if you want. It's a very relaxed group, and once we get going, there's quite a few familiar faces. So um,
Let me see. How do you turn it on? Okay, I think that should be on. It says it is on.
mm,
No,
not yet.
not yet.
No worries if not. So have you been to one of these before, or is this your first time?
No, no, this is the first time. I've watched some of your recordings.
Uh-huh. Where are you calling in from?
San Diego.
Ah, nice. And did you come to it through Michael Simmons, or what was the connection?
I don't even remember. Did a web search and I found yours.
Oh, you went through SEO. Okay, very cool. All right. Um, so the plan today, over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to be leading up to launching this 6 month program, Life Evolution. This is the culmination of a couple of programs that one's just finished. One last year's Recursive Self-Evolution, and the last one was called Finding Your Flow. And the essence of those is how do we become continuously self-evolving rather than doing one change and then the next change and the next change, right? There's something about and I guess this is mirroring the conversation in AI of using computers to evolve how we evolve computers. I just saw something on Claude where Anthropic is increasingly not having humans in the loop when it comes to creating new ways of enhancing uh, ASA, artificial superintelligence. So the question kind of arose a couple of years ago between myself and a guy called Michael Simmons is, well, where's the human superintelligence? Where's the human version of this? And what occurred to me is the architecture of change, the essence of it is that we're dealing with stable systems. We're dealing with parts of our neurology, our biology. Hi there, good to see you.
Hello.
Our biology and our neurology that wants to stay the same, wants homeostasis, fundamentally wants safety and coherence. So, and all change involves some level of destabilization, destabilizing current structures in order to create new ones. And so the question then is, well, how do we make that as smooth and as elegant as possible? And interestingly, this is to some degree beyond the content, well, mostly beyond the content, because we can get caught up in endless cycles of narrative construction, right? I'm not saying it's not useful, but the part of the narrative construction that helps is the one we have a new thought, a new association, a new meaning. The very structure that's creating our meaning making changes, and therefore we have new experience of reality. So the question is, well, what are the pieces where we can go at that more directly? I mean, a major one is down-regulating the nervous system when we're in high stress. There's so much defense going on that very often we can't repattern or reorganize. Or if you notice, when we repattern or reorganize under conditions of high stress or fear or threat, it's a downshifting, right? We actually shift to a more black and white. Do I need to run away? Do I need to fight? The most kind of basic structures. When we're reorganizing, when there's enough space and enough holding, we tend to reorganize into complexity, more nuance, more granularity, more creativity, right? And so the idea, and this comes out of stage development, is that the more fluidly we can not just think, but in a very embodied way, navigate our mental constructions and emotional relationships and responses to the world, the more adaptive we are and the more we can handle complexity in the world. When something seems too complex in the world, it's usually because our map of it isn't complex enough, right? When we can map the world more in a more sophisticated way, then the world by comparison is less overwhelming, right? And this is all in stage development. So when children are evolving, there's much researched, Robert Keegan, Suzanne Cook-Greuter, Terry O'Fallon, Bill Torbert, who essentially map the fact that the number of degrees of freedom in our thinking increases as we get older, but it tends to stop at a kind of ideological socialized mind. So the question is, how do we go beyond that? So to being able to hold complexity, hold paradox, contradictions, dilemmas. The minute you can resolve internal contradictions and stresses, like I want A, but if I get A, I won't get B. If I get B, I won't get A. Right? The more you can handle these kinds of things, the more ease and more flow you feel in life. And ultimately, where this ends up is what some of the traditions, like the Taoists, would call effortless effort or Wu Wei. Another way to think of it is we're just removing internal jarring and jamming and having forces pushing and pulling us in different directions. Okay, so give me one sec. Another person coming in. So, and another key principle here is that if you have dynamic systems want to stay stable, we're saying we're a dynamic system. And if we approach it in a certain systems in a certain way that are kind of counter or in opposition, we tend to get more resistance. If you've ever seen when there's a political debate and someone's trying to convince the other person of their point of view, and you see the other person get even more entrenched, the more they try, the more entrenched they get. This is a good example of the intention, which is evolution change, right, in this situation, actually leads to more stabilized or rigid structures. Okay. So that's all kind of theory, right? But what I've been doing over the last year, 2 years, 3 years is in real time, so real situations, you guys have all seen me do change work with people, is what are the principles that lead you to be able to do that kind of change work that isn't necessarily the content? This is primarily around the nature of the structures that we're using to relate to others rather than the content. This early days, this was in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. The unfortunate thing in that whole system was it ended at a kind of model of people doing things to others, right? Treating the other person like a program or an object, right? Rather than doing things with others. Now, one of the programs I went to with Richard Bandler, who started NLP, I was on stage and I was the demo subject, and he was on stage and he was talking to the audience, and he was simultaneously working with the dynamics of what was happening for me as well as the group. Now, from the outside, it looked as though he was being extremely dogmatic and rude and all kinds of things, right? So for my nervous system was freaking out, and he turned around and he goes, "Oh, for God's sake, just relax." Right now, if anybody else had said that, right, it it would have probably created even more tension and stress. But in that moment, it was enough of a shock, and there was enough of a connection in the field. My entire nervous system just dissipated and released. Right. So this is understanding, and I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, yesterday, the day before, where she was getting increasingly frustrated in a group and more upset. Right. And what was happening was part of her system was coming up to an edge, right, of her map or model of the world. Right. And when we get to the edge of how we know to make meaning, most human beings will resist that, will fight that. Right. And so the more comfortable we get with things not making sense, not understanding, not knowing what's going to happen, right? The relaxing our fear of the unknown, not fearing loss, right? There's many, many things that if you kind of get comfortable with, you can allow yourself to move through these transitions much more elegantly and seamlessly. And the reality is that for many people, not everyone, it's fight, 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 big breakthrough, fight, 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 big breakthrough, right? And so the vibe of change work is I have to push, right? Rather than let's step back for a second and say, well, what is this system that's operating right now, and how can we seamlessly connect, interact in ways where there is very little opposition? Right? If you go up to a door and you're trying to, push it open, and you're using loads and loads of effort, and it actually turns out it's a door that opens inwards, right? Then it's never the door was resistant. It was the old classic, the patient was resisting. Well, what were you doing when they were resisting, right? So the hope here is I'll show you some principles that can come out. And I've got probably now 1,200 hours of video of training, and I'm using AI to kind of work out, well, when is there the really elegant moments when something shifts very simply and without much drama, and what is common? What is common to all of those moments? Right. So we're going to do some change work. There might be people drifting in and out. We're a small group, so we can take it easy. Happy to answer questions as well on all of this, right? But really, one of the premises of this work is we're changing fundamental assumptions about what's possible. 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, I think it was February, 2.5 years. I had to do a entire month, and we called it normalizing miracles. And the reason was the people in the program were getting shifts and changes that their own system, it messed with their idea of what was possible, and that created cognitive dissonance. And like, whoa, 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 this shouldn't be possible, right? And we've seen that in many, many industries now, things that we didn't think were possible a few years ago. I mean, even AI, right, are perfectly possible now. It's kind of interesting how rapidly people can get used to a new way of doing things. How many people have changed their way of working, even a small amount, because of AI? I'm hoping everyone, right? Okay, so let's do a little check-in to see where people are at. If there's something that you want to work on today. And my encouragement is this is not therapy, not coaching as such. It's an exploration and a play with how do we put our reality together. And what that very rapidly leads to, as we become more and more construct aware, it's called, is awakening, right? The realization that we're not any of these forms. Hi, Tia. We're not any of these forms that we're creating. We create them and then we identify with them as if they are totally us, right? And you can see your whole life you've been changing. Your body's changed, your mind's changed, your thoughts change, your relationship changes, but you're still you. What is that you, right? That you go, well, I'm me, right? Even though pretty much everything around you, all the environment, your context, your understanding the world has been evolving and growing and changing, you're still fundamentally you're you. Yes? Right. So the question is, what is that? All right. So let's have a check-in. Just I have a feeling that today's going to feel different. I don't know why, but we'll see. And I'll say one thing, all change happens in the moment, in this moment. So even if something's been stuck for years, we don't know. There's never been a June 6th, 2026 at 3:18 in the afternoon before. Right. So who wants to let's have a check-in and then we'll go from there.
If no one else is, I can try to start this
Sure.
then.
Yes. Hi, Casimir.
And one thing that you need to a little bit general is, I think we talked with you about that also, but getting a little bit more loose on exactly that who I am,
Mhm.
that I have the feeling that I'm a little bit too identified, too stuck that I am me, and that is kind of this squad thing. And then when I try to go out, it's kind of ping pong, ping ping. For a while, it goes then back in the center
Mhm.
of, if that's something that, again, if that's too broad or something else, then
No, it's perfect. So there's a thing called construct aware. In stage of them, there's something called construct aware and then ego aware, right? So construct aware is we start to realize that we're constructing our reality, and that's not the same as listening to it, reading it in a book, right? It's the actual experience of, oh, I'm thinking this. Do I want to be thinking this? No, I'm going to drop it, right? And that is a real state of thing. At least it's nodding. This is starting to happen for you. It's like, do I even want to think that, right? When I'm discussing things with my partner, I go with my girlfriend. I will say, I'm going to tell you something now because this is coming up for me. I don't even think I agree with it, right? So it's not a position. You know how people get into arguments because they say something and the other person goes, "I can't believe you think that." It's like, well, I can't believe I think that, and I don't have to think it or believe it, right? So this kind of freedom to be able to share your internal world without kind of raising it to the level of truth is the first step. And so, Casimir, what you're talking about in terms of the loosening, right? This is a much more helpful way to go than if something's rigid to fight with it. So when I try and go outside of the range of who I want to be, right, my current system clashes with it. Is that what you're saying? Is that right?
yes, that's something that I've also experienced, that the more you try to force something, the more that thing pushes back
Correct.
against that change.
Yes.
So
But this certainly is true a lot of the time, right? It's tricky because actually you can actually effort at something without resisting. So you're using the minimum force. Like, have you ever seen like when people are weightlifting? Some people they're just using the minimum weight um, effort needed to lift the weight. Other people are like, right? And making all kinds of noises and sounds, right? So most people, what's happening is they're assuming internal resistance, and we'll get to what that means. and then using the effort. Have you ever picked up a mug or a cup or something on the table that you thought was really light, but it was actually heavy, and you kind of went, "Ooh, oh, that was different to what I thought," or the other way around, where it looks really heavy, and you go to pick it up, and you suddenly pick it up, and it's very light, right? So there's mismodeling of what is difficult and what is easy. So what you just said earlier, which is I'm starting to realize how much I'm wedded or identified with the idea of being me, right? True?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's nice about that is that's a realization that wasn't there before, which means a change has happened. Something has gone meta or outside. Something has already disidentified, otherwise, how would you reflect on it? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Now, here's the tricky bit. We go, I don't like that. Now I'm going to fight with it. Right? Like I should be disidentified, right? Rather than first celebrating the fact that you did disidentify a bit in order to be even to see that you were the identifier. So let's start with that. Okay. So just for a moment, notice right now the moment that you went from, I didn't realize this, to, oh, I see how much I'm identified with having to be how I am, right? And then breathe and relax and see if you can let go of to immediately go into, therefore I have to change it or I don't like it. And celebrate the fact that that realization is already a change. Can you soften around the fact that seeing how identified you are is already a disidentification, a stepping outside to even being able to see it?
Mhm.
And what do you notice happens when you do that?
It's kind of, I get kind of, before I was like me and realizing that I'm attached to my self image. Now it's kind of like getting a third perspective that is even more disassociated from both of the two, the rigid image and being able to see that how attached I am to that rigid image.
Right.
Kind of a
So,
step still further step to change.
right. And what happens in the felt sense in your body?
It feels good.
Can you,
I'm smiling.
yeah. Uh, I mean, good as an evaluation. How does it actually feel? What are the body sensations? Is there warmth,
It
relief,
is
tension?
base. There is kind of a good, okay, a feeling around the heart
Hmm.
that it is in a way to describe that. It's not space, but it's like energy hugging my or my being
Okay.
that describe that.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So let's stop for a moment. Notice how the other route we could have gone, right? That we didn't go, right? So the other route is you go, well, I feel too identified with myself, and then we jump to that frame and we go, okay, so how do we get you to disidentify? And then that creates the tension and the fight and the I don't want to disidentify. Right? Notice that's what we didn't do. Right. So these systemic knots or tangles, right? It's pretty clear how to undo them if we don't fall into reinforcing a loop. Years ago, there was a guy called Robert Dilts. Well, still, there's a guy called Robert Dilts. But years ago, I heard him say um, that people will say, I don't like a part of myself, right? and they're trying to co-opt the practitioner to try and get rid of a part of the self, right? And now the person is even more in a war because they've got one part of themselves that's trying to get rid of another part of themselves, and they've co-opted someone else to help them with that, right? This is a real danger in change work when someone says, I don't like my anxiety, and you go, let's help you get rid of your anxiety, right? If they're identified with it at the time, really this is just a disaster, right? And you'll see this. People, they don't like their anxiety. They hate their anxiety. They're frustrated with their anxiety. They feel helpless in relationship to their anxiety. It's all these secondary meanings that stabilizes the state. Right? So notice how when we don't do that and we have this systemic understanding, there's almost an immediate shift. Right? All right. So when you go, well, then how am I going to be who I want to be? Well, the weird thing is that the more you do this and you soften like this, your system will organically reorganize itself in more healthy ways. It just seems to be what happens. Or the way we can direct it towards where we want it to be becomes easier. So what are you noticing now, Casimir?
In a way, the feeling has kind of softened. The intensity is less. Still, somehow I feel I'm not the one who started this conversation.
Right. I'm speaking to a different self.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of. So
Right. And that's really interesting because what that means is the meaning making about self, the very structure of the construct of thinking I am a self has gone through a category change just in the conversation. Right. So now what we can do is say your idea about whether you can change or not at the level of identity, look back over this last 10 minutes or 15 minutes and go, oh, that was an example of me shifting my self-image or my self-concept. Right. And so let that land that therefore it is possible and with a lot less effort than you thought historically, that most people think. Because it just happened. We're pointing to a reference experience.
yeah, it's just kind of the opposite that I said before, that when you don't kind of fight it or try to force it, it kind of just flows to another shape or form or experience. And that's
Correct.
something. And my mind is still a little bit like, how can it be? Kind of going a
Right.
little bit.
Good.
How,
Good, good,
how,
good.
how to.
Good. So can you relax I don't understand, I don't have a description for this, it doesn't make sense, right? It only doesn't make sense according to everything historically, right? Whereas this is now a new reference for the reason I know it's possible because it just happened, right? We're building new architecture about change itself.
What comes up is a little bit kind of the kind of fear of can I repeat this?
Yeah, that's okay.
Somehow.
Yeah, sure. I understand. There's a premise in a lot of life, which is in order to do something, I need to understand it,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Whereas,
kind of
right,
my mind how it works. I need to understand and know. And
correct, right. But every baby learns how to walk without understanding, like going to a class on walking. Every baby learns language without knowing grammar, right? We've just forgotten that we can learn things without knowing ahead of time the
yeah,
cognitive understanding, right? Okay.
yeah, I think that somehow that might be have to do with the schooling system, that you always have to reason, and
Yeah, it is.
somehow
Correct.
it forces you into that kind of
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're building new references that don't fit into that model, right? And going, oh, therefore, what I believed was not the whole truth. Still useful. It's just not the whole truth. All right. Thank you. All right.
You're
Very
welcome.
cool. Nicely done. All right. Who's next? I'm hoping people, when they see something like that, have a little bit of disbelief. They're like, what happened? What kind of witchcraft is this? Right, right. But it isn't. It's deep understanding of systems, dynamic systems. It's learnable. Right, right. Elise,
So mine will be pretty quick.
sure.
We talk about energy a lot. So I noticed that I look forward to the weekend to catch up on work. And then I get to the weekend and I'm totally depleted.
Mm,
Like I'm just exhausted every weekend. So
mm.
I do all the right things. Like I force myself to go exercise, eat healthy, all the things, but I still feel depleted. So I'm wondering if there's some kind of energy shift that needs to happen there, or you know, the
I
kind of
think,
work I do. So
yeah, no, I know. And by the way, inherently, there may be some actual renewal that you need. Like being a psychotherapist, listening to people complain for whatever all week is like, and I wonder why I'm drained on the weekend.
yeah, I know, right? It does make
Right.
sense.
Now, and you also said I force myself to exercise, right? So it's the right thing in theory. I
Mm,
should exercise, but a part of you is resisting it, and therefore that's exhausting, right? So you're losing energy, right? Right.
true.
So these are things to, I mean, I'm showing you change can be easy, and the amounts of shifts you've made in the last 9 months has been incredible. But it is a progressive iteration of getting easier and easier rather than one hit. But just do this for a moment. Put one hand on the back of your head, thumb and ring finger on either side of the nose. So this is the TAT pose. So one hand on the back of the head, thumb and ring finger on either side of the nose, middle finger in the center of the forehead, right? And consider how you do, everyone can do this. Consider how you do life, right? How you're currently doing life, how much you assume that there are certain resistances, obstacles, challenges, which there are, but then we double down on effort rather than letting go of the idea that we can streamline. And so when we have to do something, there's the energy it takes to do it and the energy it takes to overcome the I don't want to have to do it, I shouldn't have to do it, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging. I'm not sure if it will work out. All the other thoughts, they take energy. So those are the ones that we can start releasing, clearing. What if you just used from now on more and more the energy needed to do the things that need to be done? And all the fighting it, the grumbling, the I shouldn't have to, the collecting evidence that you're tired, right? Moments of reset during the week, relaxing the shoulds. Right? And specifically for you, and this is for everyone, but specifically for you, what if over time, as you start to align more and more in your own energy, that you just stop taking on other things so there's less cleanup to do? So by the time you've got to the weekend, you've done the sessions, and as you come out of the session, everything that doesn't belong to you just drops more and more. I mean, you've learned to some degree to do this over the years, but I think you're just moving to another level of just being like be like Teflon or Bruce Lee, be like water. Right? And then notice the I can't. Right? The surely I can't. But then you've changed so many things in the last 6 months that they're just the next thing on the table. And see the things that are available today to shift and drop away. Look for subtle changes, not giant epiphanies. Subtle shifts in the body, the felt sense of something dropping away. And when you're ready, just stroke over the top of your head like this. This is from havening, and then down the shoulders and take a breath and shake out your body. Let the shifts go through your whole body rather than just resting as head knowledge. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, this is the other thing that starts to happen is the proof of change because you got immediate feedback. Right. I'm certainly at the point in my life where I do these things and I've just seen it enough now. Don't need the evidence immediately. But 3 or 4 days later, I find I'm acting differently, behaving differently, feeling differently. Right. There's enough trust in my system now that any shift in the moment is cumulative. So I just don't add the like, bloody hell, why am I still like this? Doesn't come up, right? Because I know it's kind of a waste of energy because it's going to be gone in like a short period of time, right? So what are you noticing now?
No,
Look,
I feel a
yeah.
little more um centered or energetic
Hmm.
rather than being, kind of weighed down by fatigue. So that feels good. And then what came up in my mind was I feel like I've been letting go of a lot of what's not mine already. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, but I let go of all that stuff. I let go of other people's problems and my kids' issues, whatever, whatever. But there's something just really weighing me down. I think it's for me, it's like I've got to make more money. I think that's the thing. It's always going. It's like I got to do it.
Yeah.
I got to make it happen. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's draining my energy.
Fine, sure.
Yeah.
It's just the next thing. Sometimes it's best not to work on the thing that you want to change and just change the things that are available to change today.
Hmm.
Right, don't worry about. One of my clients, I think I told you this, I'll tell everyone. He is not sleeping every week. It's like I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleeping enough. Right. And so we just started to down-regulate the response to sleep and the fact that because he was exhausting himself by stressing about not sleeping and then telling himself how tired he was. Right. And so I said, you know what, let's just not. And he goes, I've got my checklists and I'm taking my magnesium and I've got my iPad. I was exhausted just listening to it. Right.
Yeah.
It's like this is very tiring. So why don't like just 2 or 3 weeks, why don't we just not talk about sleep? Right. And we'll
Mm.
work on other things, right, that are available to shift right now. Right. And he came back from Finland for like 9 days. Do you know, he goes, I had the best sleep because I forgot about it. He goes, I had the best sleep I've had in like 2 years.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
sometimes efforting at something is the very thing that's keeping it in place. There's two things come to mind. One is the classic kind of guy goes to the guru and says, "How long to be enlightened?" And the guru says, 10 years. He goes, "What if I work really hard?" He goes, 20 years. So, or in the Indian traditions, there's a thing about how do you catch a monkey, right? I don't know why you want to catch a monkey. There's like a monkey, and there's a jar with a string, it's tied, right? And then you put an apple in the jar, and the monkey comes and grabs the apple, right? And now the monkey doesn't want to let go of the apple; it refuses to let go, and so they come and they can catch the monkey, right?
Oh, right.
Whereas if you just let go, it could leave. But you see how the change involves the fear of loss. Right. So, and it's all in Buddhism with impermanence. So, tap here. Let's just do this as a group. Tap here. Right. I'm trying to get things.
I'm trying to get things.
I'm trying to get more money.
I'm trying to get more money.
So I'm holding on really tight.
So I'm holding on really tight.
I'm holding on to this apple.
I'm holding on to this apple.
Right. And I'm wondering why I don't feel freedom.
And I'm wondering why I don't feel, did you say freedom?
Freedom.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm still
freedom.
going to do all the activities I need to do.
I'm still going to do all the activities I need to do,
But the idea of letting go
but the idea of letting go
feels like I'm letting go of the goal, which means letting go of earning money.
feels like I'm letting go of the goal, which is earning more money.
I'm actually just letting go of the attachment to it.
I'm actually just letting go of the attachment to it.
And there's relief in that.
And there's relief in that.
Okay, what did you notice in your body?
I mean, I think it was more in my head, just that idea of attachment. That was very powerful. It was a good reminder.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you, because did everyone notice the voice tone change in the middle there?
Interesting.
Right. It's like
Interesting.
genuine relief. So change doesn't happen in our heads, really, right?
Right.
It's the body level that we're looking for.
Yes. Yes. I think I feel more relaxed somehow. Yeah,
Yeah, good.
for sure.
Okay. All right. See, all of these are systemic chant. The the monkey with the apple, right? It seems like the way to freedom is to go directly, right? And sometimes the way to freedom is to go in the opposite direction first. This is basic systems theory, right? The example I was using the other day is if you want to get onto the highway and go south, sometimes the closest junction is actually north. So you might go in the opposite direction and go east first in order to get onto the highway in order to go south, which is a lot quicker than if you go, no, I'm only going to go south, and now you're going through some little tiny little country dirt road lane, right? If you're insisting on going directly. Um, and the basic premise is this: when you think about trying to change something, the first thing that arises is just whatever's been there before, right? And sometimes, unfortunately, the thing that arises is not helpful. It's not useful.
Mhm.
Right? So this first step towards getting neutral to whatever arises when we think about our goal is very valuable. It's like a primary principle in this. Before you do anything, let's get to neutral or more neutral, and then think about it from there. Right? Does this make sense that all the stuff I'm describing, it's not rocket science when it's laid out, but how much a conventional change goes against these principles?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get that because if you listen to most of the things about change, about it's like fighting against something and then finally succeeding.
Mm.
Somehow, I think maybe the energy that creates something is the energy that you need to use to maintain it.
Yeah, look,
No.
I want to say something about that. Very often it works. You set a goal and then you go and do it, right? If I want to, um, uh, if I want to cook a steak, then I go towards cooking a steak, right? I take it out of the fridge, pat it down so it's not wet, so I get nice crust, put the salt on, put the pepper on, let it, put the olive oil, let it soak for a few hours a day, right? Probably a few hours. I'm not a fan of when you get it too dry. And then, so it all works. The question is, when you set the intention to go towards an outcome, what does the current system do? Can the current system reorganize such that you're able to do the goal? That's it. Right. And very often that's not what's happening, right? Many latches are based on this, right? So you go through and a latch on a door, it latches, and then when you try and pull, it doesn't come through, right? These are all kind of systemic dynamics that we're kind of talking about today, right? So it's not that this is the right way and the other ways are the wrong way. It's just noticing when the more conventional Newtonian or cause and effect approach doesn't work, right? Sometimes people have been doing things for years, and in theory they should work. And if they don't, it's time to do something else. Okay. All right. So, who else? Hello. Yeah. Hi,
Oh,
Tia. How you doing?
nice to see you again. Good, good. First of all, thanks for the experience you created in the March sessions. I definitely have been practicing a lot of the stuff I learned there on the slope during spring skiing. And I
Hmm.
also became more mindful of my own nervous system because before that, I never was able to distinguish what is like my body and mind wants to act versus like a reaction caused by some nervous system. And one thing I noticed is that I think I get into the fight or flight mode quite easily,
Hmm.
which is good because like good in a sense that like I notice my own performance improve in those like kind of situations where I sense danger,
Hmm.
but it's not as good for me as a dancer because as I was practicing like a lot of the flexibility stuff, I can do like a 3 hour practice and get really warmed up and be able to do a split. But the next day when I go into practice, I feel like my body still braces against like releasing and like, softening into the stretch. Um, yeah, so I was wondering if there's anything.
Just stop for a moment. Just breathe for a second. What's happening?
um, just now.
Hmm.
Uh, I guess I was just trying to figure out the best way to like, because I got lost in what my goal was for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So can you come down in the camera a bit? Because I can't see the top of your head. Not that I need to see the top of your head. That's not where all the change happens. All right, there we go. Nice. All right. So, well, firstly, great, right? The fact that, we were able to connect and talk for whatever it was, 20 minutes, right? And whatever happened during that has led to a lasting lensing difference. So you're taking in the world differently, right?
Hmm.
And that was sustained whenever that was, May 23rd, whenever that was, like 6 weeks ago or so. All right. So this thing about stretching, right, is the premise of uh, um, whether people are flexible or not, right, is considered mechanical, but I think you understand, you know this, right? That it's the body telling you whether you're safe in that position or not, right?
Right.
All right, and it's more foundational than just um, cognitive, right? So there are some things that need to happen, like the sensors in the muscles knowing whether there's stretch or strain, the sensors saying, "Oh, I've now gone to the edge of where I think is safe or not safe," right? And all the principles about being strong at the edge of stretch, right? So how many people? I mean, this is new to me, right? I've just learned it in the last few months, right? That at and one of my students, she's a medical doctor and anesthesiologist, and she goes, when you give people anesthesia, right, they become completely floppy. Right? So it's not a mechanical thing. It's literally the brain and the nervous system saying, you've arrived at the edge of what I consider safe. This is implicit and autonomic, right? So you cannot override it. And in fact, if you override it, then exactly what you said happens, which is the next day, the body goes, oh, we went too far. We we're gonna see what we can to like um, further protect against this. Right. So hold the TAT pose just for a second. One hand here, thumb and ring finger on either side of the nose, middle finger. We'll use this from Tapas Fleming. Right. Right. And I'm just going to say some words, right? And we'll see what happens. Put the other hand on the back of the head like that. Oh, you are. Didn't see it. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So close your eyes for a moment. Right. All of the origins of the parts of you, of your body map that currently say what can and can't happen, how flexible you can and can't be, and any forcing and pushing and trying to force a change in that body map can heal, release, and clear. Anywhere where you're actually strong enough, that you really are strong enough because you've physically built up the strength at the edge of your range of motion, but is out of date, you can update those maps now. Allow to loosen and soften the frustration at the end of I'm not as flexible as I want to be. Right? See if you can relax that and replace it with currently I'm as flexible as I am. And then breathe through any emotions or judgment or feeling that comes up. This is the quickest way to become more flexible, is to relax the idea that the flexibility that you have now is not enough. Right? And look at the image of your body map and look at the image of your muscles. Right? And allow the energy in your muscles, this won't make any logical sense, wherever you're holding, wherever they're related to emotional tension, protection, psychological elements that are ready to release, can heal, release, and clear now, while feeling strong and confident and capable of protecting and defending and supporting yourself and holding yourself. And that you'll only go as quickly with your flexibility as you feel strong in body and mind, to be confident and coherent and capable of reversibility in that stretch. You won't go past anything where you could hurt yourself. And breathe and let that edge itself expand. I will say this as well. Anything, you can relax your hands for a second and then hold it again. Right. Anything, let's just do it one more time. So I'll do it with you. Right. And I'm going to say it deliberately like this. Anything in your psyche from when you were a little girl that doesn't need to be operating anymore can catch up with the age that you are now. Don't try and do this cognitively. Any need to protect, defend, support with other people can heal, relax, release as you own the strength and the capability and the boundaries you have now as an adult. And update those assumptions about who you are, what you're capable of, and your choices and your alignment in your own energy. And then relax your hands. Okay. What did you notice?
At one point you mentioned that drop the belief that I'm not flexible. I find that pretty impossible because I consider myself not flexible enough for as long as I've been dancing, basically.
Right.
And I start to wonder when you say like don't do this cognitively, what that entails.
Yeah, got it. If you're trying to make a mental image and trying to change the mental image in your head, not that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just allowing your body going into surrender and going, I wonder what's going to happen. Right. Now, let's just stay with this, right? Ever since I was started dancing, was it? I consider myself not flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, think about how coherently stabilizing that is at an identity level that you're fighting against. Right? You believe it, right? You think it's a certainty, it's a given, right?
Right.
And then we collect evidence and go, see, I told you. Right. So this is there's a couple of stories for this. So one is there's a story and a joke. So one is there's a guy and he goes to a psychiatrist and he goes, "I'm a corpse." What's this called? There is actually a thing where people think they're dead. Right? He goes, "I'm a corpse," and the psychiatrist goes, "You're not a corpse." And he goes, "No, I am a corpse." And he goes, "No, you're not a corpse." And he goes, "No, I am a corpse." And so the psychiatrist look. He goes, "Okay, we need evidence." So he goes, "Do corpses bleed?" Right? And the guy says, no, of course not. Only alive people bleed, right? So the psychiatrist says, come here, and he picks up a drawing pin and pricks him, and then there's this like blood comes out, right? And the psychiatrist says, yes, he's bleeding. Only alive people bleed, right? And he goes, well, would you look at that? Corpses do bleed. So he refuses to change the belief despite, right, it reverses the meaning. Okay. So stay with me on this one because 0 to 10, how certain are you that you're not flexible?
12.
Exactly, right? Now, if this is there, right, consider what that's going to do to every day trying to become more flexible and have it not happen and then believe it again and go, see, I told you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. So this belief that you're not flexible, 12 out of 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do you feel that? Where do you feel?
Mostly in the hip flexor. Well, only in the hip flexor, I would say.
Okay. So listen to the question, right? So the hip flexor is where you're saying you're not flexible,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm asking about the certainty that it can't change, that I'm not flexible. The 12 out of 10 certainty. Certainty has a feeling to it that you're sure.
Um, I would say comes from the hip itself.
I know you would. Right? What if it doesn't?
Sure.
Okay. So take a breath just for a second. Right? So you have an opinion, right? And the opinion is that I'm not flexible, right? It's nothing to do with my thinking. It's because the hip itself can't move that way, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you're certain about that,
Mm-hmm.
despite like almost every practitioner that is on YouTube and Marlowe saying it's not that. But you're sure.
Well, Marlo does say it's less flexible than compared to more flexible people.
Well, it is right now, but we're not talking
Wow.
about that. We're talking about we don't know, you see. This is the issue. Because what if your lack of flexibility is coming from your lack of flexibility and thinking you're able to be flexible?
Right.
Got it?
Yep.
Right? In which case you'd be fighting with yourself to be more flexible.
Correct.
Let me just switch this off. Something is dinging. Yeah, that's it. Okay, it stopped. All right. So what are we doing? We're introducing doubt,
Mhm.
right? Doubt in the rigidity of the certainty that you can't be flexible. Got it?
Mhm.
We're loosening up your mind, right? Because what happens when we're fighting with ourselves? We don't feel safe. What happens when we don't feel safe? We lock up.
Right.
Can you see the entire system? So we're finding places in the system, because if you just yank on the system, it just goes back again. This is what we've been talking about all day, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what's happening in terms of your room to contemplate that you might make more progress in the next month than you made in the last year? If you
Then,
lose, yeah, go on.
yeah, I feel like then I'll have at least some evidence that I can be flexible.
Correct, right? So now, so take a breath, right? Right. Maybe you were looking in the wrong place, right? When you were looking at your hip, right? That your body map determines how flexible or not flexible. It's part of the system, right? We know this, right? We know that if you're if we're certain, guess what happens when we go off the edge of our mental map, right? We get scared. What happens when we get scared? We contract. This is like 101. Got it?
Mhm.
Okay, so tap on the side of your hand. So this is just creating enough room to do an intervention. So, I never considered that actually my body and mind are one system.
I've never considered my mind and body are one system.
In this specific instance, I've heard the idea before.
In this specific instance, I've heard this idea before.
Right. But let's apply it in this actual situation now.
Let's apply it in this actual situation now.
And so first I'm gonna loosen up the mental image I have
First, I'm gonna loosen up the mental image that I have
of how flexible I can and can't be,
of how flexible I can and cannot be,
because that feels pretty inflexible right now.
because that feels pretty inflexible right now.
So, and if I keep yanking on that, guess what it does?
And if I keep yanking on that, guess what it does?
It reinforces.
It reinforces.
So let me loosen that up first. My idea of how flexible I can and can't be.
So let me loosen that up first, the idea of how flexible and inflexible I can be.
Okay, take a breath. And what are you noticing?
I have been like, I know I need to stretch on a daily basis, but I don't want to. But now I kind of want to give it another try.
Okay, so you see how even the I don't want to was a form of resistance, and guess what happens when we have resistance? Our body doesn't want to go there, right? Okay, so we're aligning your system. Just out of curiosity, can you because I'm kind of doing some of this. What does the hip flexor do? Which bit is it? Is it this one? Is it like this? Is it pull? I don't know.
Like a front split.
Say again?
A front split?
Oh yeah, show us. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Don't do the whole thing, right? Um, so hang on. So what is the aim? To do a split?
Yes.
Got it. So right now, go to the place where you're only using 30%. Can you support yourself so you're only using 30% of the energy? So it's easy for you. Yeah? Got it?
Yep.
All right. So come back from that, right? And what happens when you think about going to 40%, 50%, 60%?
Even before attempting, I feel like discomfort, a very localized discomfort in the hip.
And what is the response to that discomfort?
I like contract in order
Yes.
to like not going into 40%. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Let's tap on the side of your hand. So ironic because Marlo's like, don't teach my stuff. Okay. Like feel the like I have to contract, right? I feel discomfort and my response to the discomfort, right? And then tap here and take a breath, breathe, and breathe through the when I feel discomfort, I must contract, right? Right. And then to tap here and go, I'm not safe with discomfort. Just say those words. I know it's counterintuitive, but I'm not safe with discomfort.
I'm not safe with discomfort.
Okay. Discomfort is not safe.
Discomfort is not safe.
Maybe discomfort is safe.
Maybe discomfort is safe.
Maybe some discomfort is safe
Maybe some discomfort is safe.
and some discomfort is not safe.
Some discomfort is not safe.
I choose to learn to discern the two
I choose to learn to discern the two
so that I can tell when and I can control how much discomfort there is.
So I can choose and control how much discomfort there is.
Okay, take a breath. Okay, so let's go back into the same position, but we're not really caring about whether you do it or not, or success or not. I want to know what happens in your mind about it, right? So when you start to feel the discomfort, what's the secondary response to the discomfort? And just get really curious about that.
Okay, if I go any further, I'm gonna have pain here,
Yeah.
but I have to, even if I don't want to, just have to tough it through. So endure, endure, endure. And oh my God, I want to get out of it.
Yeah. So no, don't go into it. Come out. Right. So so you just did the thing. You went through the discomfort, even though the message was don't do this. Okay.
Right.
Right. That's not what I was saying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it doesn't matter. Right. Um, we'll go with it. Tap here. Right. I overrode the signal
I overrode the signal
rather than go to where it feels discomfort
rather than go to where it feels discomfort
and relax the contraction in response to the discomfort.
and relax the contraction in response to the discomfort.
Right. I overrode it. It's okay. I overrode it.
I overrode it and it's okay.
Right. And what was your response? Oh my God, like this hurts.
Right.
Tell me, go on, carry on. Oh my God, this hurts.
Oh my God, it hurts.
I have to get out of this.
I have to get out of this.
So then my muscles contract.
So my muscles contract.
I don't feel safe
I don't feel safe
because I went too far too quickly.
because I went too far too quickly.
Deep breath. Because really what we're loosening is your mental map about what is and isn't safe.
Right.
All right. So when you think about it, let's do it how I said now. So don't go further than where it feels discomfort. Right. And let's have a way where you can actually support yourself. Right. So so you really can support yourself. There you go. So go to where there's some discomfort. Okay. Don't go any further and relax your response, your body response, your muscular response to discomfort.
Well, like if I relax my body here, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go further into the split, which is going to give me more pain. So that's why I'm like holding up really tight here.
Yeah, no, that's good. So stop for a second. Stay. So come out of that for a second. Right. Now, and we'll end here. What's your response to the discomfort now compared to before? Oh my God, I have to get out of it. This is not safe. It hurts.
I think like I have more like a richer sensation to what the discomfort actually is, rather
Good.
than just like a signal that makes me jump out of it.
Exactly. So this is what I want you to practice, right? Which is relaxing your response, like this is not safe, I don't like it, to the discomfort. You literally demonstrated physically what people do psychologically, right? They override themselves for years and then they have burnout, right? The thing is there for a reason, the signal, right? And you probably want to find a way where you can go into that split where you're supported, i.e. maybe have the block underneath you, or you can ask Marlo, right? But the critical point is we're changing our secondary response because we know that that's what limits it's our body map that limits how far we can go. And there is a physical element to it. You can't just do it all in one go, right? But if you do this, the inside and the outside, you'll go a lot quicker than otherwise. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. How do you feel about your certainty that you can't be flexible now?
Um, it's less, I'm still pretty certain, but the thing
That's good.
changed is that I have like this metacognition that this is how I feel, and maybe I can change that.
Good.
But as far as how I feel, I'm still pretty certain.
That's fine. That's fine. But it's opening a possibility beyond it's just my hip, it's just who I am, it's just how I am, right? So it's the very same stuckness as people have in their identity. Same thing. Right. It's kind of interesting when I'm talking to Marlo. So for people who don't know, Marlo's my partner. She's a bit of a physical body mind genius. Not bit, she is a physical body mind genius. And I'm starting to increasingly see that some of the change work I do, and I haven't arrived at it through the physical, it's built off the architecture of our physiology and the limits. And so you can see how even with these kinds of stretches actually applies to the mind as well. Our psyches won't let go unless we feel safe in the area we want to, right? So when we go to trainings and they go, you've got to just be vulnerable. It's like, I don't want to be vulnerable because it's not safe. So sometimes it's worth feeling, building strength and boundaries and mental certainty of that you can take care of yourself first. And then the psyche automatically lets go. Ah, yeah, Marlo. M-A-R. Yeah. So, I'll show her and then we'll see. Right. But I think we might be doing trainings together at some point, right? Because the parallels between the two and how we think about how she thinks about the body, how I think about the mind is is this kind of holistic, systemic way that's much more dynamic than it is kind of cause and effect or Newtonian in a way of doing things.
Gonna be my
All
dream.
right. Yeah. Thank you, Tia. Thanks for being willing to play. I think that's a critical piece of all of this. All right, who's next? Let me do this. Let me just show you how over a fairly short period of time, this is from about 6 or 7 transcripts that I have, right? And I'm just started to pull out a whole bunch of principles and different kind of ways of modeling, right? Right. So, hey presto, as if I didn't even read this, right? Not going at the problem, but going at the response to the problem itself first. This is quite a good move very often, right? Not only do you go meta, but it also shows you how these structures are held together. So the helplessness, the desire to fix it, the prediction it won't shift. And sometimes, and we loosened it up today. That's what we did just then with Tia. The problem collapses. It's on its own, right? Right. So change stop needing the crisis to drive it. So beyond a certain point, and you saw that with Casimir, and there's a certain point at which when we do this kind of evolutionary change work, that actually our system starts evolving on its own. Ebzen's a good example of that. I'm not sure if he's here today, where the system starts to kind of get it, right? How to release things, how to clear things, how to relax things, right? And then growth becomes autocatalytic. Essentially, nothing stays stuck, right? So this is not the limit of it, but here's 15 principles, right? So usually when we try and do something like you just saw there, we overdo it, right? Rather than go to the liminal edge, the edge of where we can cope and process at that edge, and then go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. That's usually so most people when they think about chunking down a task, they're not thinking of chunking it down in terms of emotional challenge. They're thinking of chunking it down in terms of the size of the task. But for someone, like even a small part of the task might feel overwhelming, it's do the bit of the task that actually feels an emotional challenge of only a 2 or a 3 or a 4 first, even if that's a bit of information gathering, a bit of planning, for example. Mm. So letting go internally is not letting go in the world. So in order to reorganize internally, we need to yield, right? We need to surrender so that structure can collapse and reorganize. But if we're feeling like this psychological defense is actually protecting us in the world, we might confuse those two. That actually we can surrender internally, that's not submission to somebody else in the world. So when we're away from them, we need to be able to let go internally, knowing that that won't mean that we're now vulnerable, we'll be defeated, etc. That is the process of reorganization that you do in a safe context, right? Approach to second order structure first. You've been seeing me do that 2 or 3 times today, right? That's not always the case, but that's a pretty good set of options. Don't fight with it, don't accept it, play with it. How many people have been to the just accept it school, right? Where you try and force yourself to accept things. Same problem, right? Whereas what we're doing here is we're playing with the dynamic, and so we're loosening up the relationship to it rather than a black and white accept, don't accept, right? So moving this disidentification, when you say I am rigid versus I have the capacity or the capability to be rigid, it opens the door to therefore I have the capability, the capacity to be something else, flexible, fluid. Save the crisis for afterwards. Okay, so sometimes people won't do something in the world like launch a business because they go, what if it fails? Right? Well, if you're capable of handling your emotions and feelings and you don't do all these down regulation things, go and do the thing in the world, have the failure, and then process the emotion then, right? So when I first launched my first program, 75 people turned up for free, one person signed up, right? Complete failure. That weekend triggered all the emotions and feelings, right? And then I cleared them up and then went on, and then that one person became 6, 7 people, became, averaging around 8 or 9 people, $300 was a month. That ran for 3 years, and it just ran consistently. And if I'd given up after that first, oh, nobody signed up, like one person signed up, it wouldn't have, blossomed into what it did. And that was the seed for many of the other programs as well. Okay, so being able to hold contradictions, right, and polarities, when we have things that we're trying to mentally solve and we can't solve them, lightly holding the entire feeling of the contradiction, the paradox, is often a way more effective way to go, which is also how you solve Zen koans, right? You hold this contradiction that can't be solved until some epiphany happens in your entire system, and you leap outside of the frame of the problem itself, right? It's a non-linear leap into a different way of being, right? So don't be afraid of the feeling, be willing to feel it. This is not an edict, but we can use the same principles, which is we can down regulate our fear of feeling emotions, right? Fear of feeling fear of feeling anger, fear of feeling shame. So we don't actually work on the thing itself, but our reluctance and our resistance to feeling it, or the certainty it can't change, which is a big one, by the way. So I'm glad we kind of got to that one today. Right. So resocialization, the way most of us are socialized is through injunction, like stop, you're not allowed to do that. And our nervous system's arrested. So one way we can stop our behavior is to stop everything. Stop the breath, stop the thought, stop the feeling, right? But that's not as effective as being able to keep the feeling, the flow, the energy, and it's only the behavior we have an issue with, and redirect that life force towards in the direction we want to go. So for many people, it's about reclaiming their life force first in the way they were socialized. Like, don't do this, shouldn't do that, mustn't do that. And then the freeze response, right? That's where a lot of rigidity comes from, actually, is very often is from socialization, especially if you come from an Asian culture. I'm finding there's a lot of shoulds and musts and mustn'ts and all that. Not all of them, clearly. Right. So I mentioned this before, that it's tricky to get this going, but once it gets going and you loosen and soften, it just gets easier and easier, because the next thing that comes up is not as rigid, we're not as reactive to it, and we can kind of bring more yin and flow with it, and problems start to kind of dissolve on their own, which is the outcome of this kind of work, right? Right. So there is a hand mudra that I show in one of the programs, but really what it is, it's this, and you put your finger down and touch it. Maybe we can use it later. but it's bringing attention from where it normally is, which is inside and on our problem, to outside and at a point of attention where if you touch something on your hand, the motor cortex will light up, right? It will go from your limbic system to your motor cortex, right? So we can have interventions that are not just mental. They can be physiological, they can be somatic, they can be attentional. There's many ways to intervene rather than just thinking the opposite, right? Uh, Signals have changed. So story time is not clock time. Very, very often, if you say to somebody, "How flexible will you be in 6 months' time?" and they can imagine it, right? That gives them permission to feel it now. So even though you're saying it's going to be in 6 months' time, they're actually thinking it now. It's access to the future state now, because there's only ever this moment right now. Embrace the cringe. Uh, so there's a bunch of different things there. And then reversing meaning, right, this is an important one. If you think about it, every meaning that's not helping us, we are invalidating it by saying, I want to go from this meaning to a different meaning. If the person is identified with it while that's happening, they're going to think that you're insulting them, not empathizing with them, etc., etc. And this is one of the main reason negative beliefs, I believe, stay in place. Is because the person, it's doing something really valuable, which is its certainty, keeping them out of incoherence. Because you saw there with Tia, in order to go through the meaning shift from I'm not flexible to flexible, you have to go through a middle ground that feels wibbly wobbly and not as certain and not as stable, right? So on the way to flexibility is the flexibility to be able to go from inflexible to flexible, right? These are all the kinds of things where you go, oh, well, that makes perfect sense, and why challenging very persistent psychological change, many of the ways it's approached is counterproductive because it actually just stabilizes it. Right, so 4 threads worth exploring, some other things, other ways of doing things. Okay, so what's happening here is coming out of these direct lived sessions that I'm doing with people, right? And through actually seeing, so for example, with Tia there, if we measured, did you do a split or not? Did you hurt or not? The answer is it's a failure, right? But that's not what we're doing, right? So Tia, your ability to be more flexible in your self-image, your self-identity, uh, your physicality, this will go across your life, right? Into who you can be as a human, right? It's worth going slowly rather than just success failure, because you're learning something much more profound about how to be fluid in body and mind. Yeah. So, all right. And you saw that even there was a little shift. That's all we're looking for, right? Because a little shift every day, now that you have the whole system rather than just the physical part of it, is a kind of a key understanding. All right. Any questions, thoughts, reflections, comments, insights? Yes, right.
I really love tapping. I see it in every one of us on the screen. Elise was a great example here earlier, but Tia as well. And every time you run me through it or I run through it when you're even doing it with others, right? Um, things just melt away. I really like it. Um, However, doing it on my own
Hmm.
is a challenge because I don't feel like I know what words to say. They don't
Okay.
come easily. And I looked this up on, Claude. I'm like, what are the steps to tapping, right? And I just posted it in comments. I mean, it was much, much longer, but the bottom line was this, like here's what you should be saying as you do this. But I don't know. I just feel like I need to still work with it or relax, a little bit about it because um, my reluctance or anxiety about, the right words are preventing it from just flowing, and saying whatever. So,
Got
but
it.
there's a shape to it, right? And there are steps.
Correct.
There are like,
There are.
first acknowledge a
Okay.
problem and then release it.
Right. So my thing is experience first, map second. Right. Get the experience first. Right.
Yeah.
Because if you have the theory without the references, it's meaningless, right? But everyone's read a million personal development books. My whole thing is how do you get this to be real in people's lives, right? It was a good example of this as I
By
taught.
experiencing.
Yeah, so that people can read books, they can know about the thing and still not be able to do the thing. Right. So years ago, I taught a program for a woman called Terry O'Fallon, who's a developmental researcher, and her coaches and debriefers had been through 2 years of training to be a coach, or 3 years, right? And she said, "Will you come in and help them to build a business? Because many of them have learned the training, but they can't build a business around it."
Mm.
Right. And I'm thinking, well, what about all their coaching skills that they've been learning for 2 or 3 years and applying it to building a business? But this is more common than you might think, right? That people have things in theory versus actually lived direct experience. And so why don't we do it right now? Right. So there has to be a certain willingness for you to be a little bit uncomfortable in
No
doing it.
problem.
All right, great. So the challenge we're going to do is that I feel uncomfortable about tapping, right? And I
Okay.
don't know, right? So, and you don't know what words to say, okay? And how to do it.
Right.
Okay. So start tapping. Right. I'm deliberately, yeah, I was going to deliberately put the spot on you, but everyone else can tap as well if you want. Okay. So start tapping, right? And right now, I'll start
I
you
don't
off.
know.
Yeah, there you go.
You want me to lead and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
do this. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
okay. I'm cool with that. I have anxiety around knowing what to say when tapping. Yeah, there you go. And then I stop.
Yeah, so describe that. I freeze up and
I
get
freeze
paralyzed.
up, not knowing the next steps. I know where to tap, not that it matters. And if I just keep going, tapping, the words will come.
Describe the state, describe the frustration, describe the I don't know how to do this.
I don't know how to do this. And that's okay.
Leave the positive just for a second.
It's very awkward and slow. And it doesn't come naturally to articulate the frustration. I don't like not having the words to say. But going through the motions makes me feel relaxed.
Yeah. I'll give you some pointers. Do it as complaints. It's a list of complaints.
Do it as complaints.
Yeah,
Um, I hate not having the words to say.
carry on.
Uh, I get stuck at each point.
Yeah.
It just isn't natural to say, to articulate what the problem is.
Okay, so stop for a second, take a breath. Okay, where are we at compared to when we started?
1 to 10, where are we at?
Hmm.
Um, I the same. I feel more relaxed, but as you can see, I was stuck coming up with the words.
Okay, so
And
tap on
I'm
that.
still angry about that,
Yeah, that's what I was
even though
going
being
for.
relaxed.
Yeah, so I want to like, this is fucking frustrating. Why can't I do this? Right?
I
Yeah,
start wanting to hit
yeah.
myself.
So go on, do it as complaints and just rather than trying to get it right, just say the things that's coming up.
I mean, I will go back to the same things. It's frustrating not having the words.
Yeah.
I do not like the feeling of not being able to articulate
Yes.
why these words aren't coming, to go through the steps. I default to wanting to go to the positive.
Okay, stop for a second, take
Without
a breath.
being able to articulate the negative.
Yeah. So take a breath.
Maybe it's come down a number from
Okay.
8 to 7.
Okay. Keep going. This is learning, by the way, right?
Mm.
I could just give you it, right?
Mm.
Right, but this is better. Right?
I know, and I want to pause and study the words I shared in chat, because I'm not getting. I feel like I skip. I go step 1. I can articulate. I'm frustrated by
No,
tapping,
I want you to forget
and
about
then I
what's
want to
in.
go straight to the step 5, which is it's okay.
Right. So notice that, right? But forget about that. Come back to this as an exploration. Forget about like what is the right way to do it. Just
Mm,
let's see if we can find a way that you can tap that no one's ever done before, right? And the only way that's going to happen if you're not using a map that someone else has given you,
mm.
right? So start again and just start where you're at. So it went down 1. Just what is literally whatever. It's like I'm going to do it for you, right? Right? For fuck's sake. It only went down 1. I'm just not getting it. Why isn't this working? I'm
Yes.
stopping myself complain.
Yeah. This is counterproductive to what the exercise is. And I'm growing more frustrated. My number's going up now.
Good.
Not knowing how to accept this feeling so that I can release it.
Okay, then stop for a second and take a breath. And what do you notice?
That came down 2 numbers.
Okay. And
Did
again,
it? Hmm?
and again.
Go again.
Yep.
Not having the words is frustrating. I want to go through this to the next step of saying it's okay. And then relaxing to observe the space it's created or my body state.
Okay, let me give you a principle that you can utilize, but I'm not going to give you how to do it. Okay.
Mm,
The principle is this, is that the if you're in a state where you can easily process something in the world, right? There's not much change happens, right? If you say to me, what's 2 + 2, right? I don't need to change anything to tell you the answer, right? It's 4, right? So what we're doing is we're saying things to trigger ourselves, set to have a body-mind reaction that is a defensive reaction, right? And then the tapping is releasing the contraction or the reaction, right? So think about triggering yourself with words.
mhm.
And then, okay, so start. Okay. And by the way, each time when I say start, if there's a reluctance to want to do it, include that. I don't want to do this in front of this group of people. This fucker is getting me to do things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
They're all looking at me. Just whatever.
I don't care about that so much.
Okay. All right.
I am frustrated that uh, I'm not good at this. I
Yes, there we
really
go.
like it. What?
That good.
Um, I like it, but it doesn't come naturally.
Yeah.
Uh, I get more out of it listening and being guided through the process than I do speaking it myself. I can bring those feelings forward
I'll
about
give you
getting angry.
I'll give you a clue, which is when you said the I'm not good at this, like
Yeah,
admitting I'm not good at this, and it hurts, right? Like it's like ow.
yeah,
That's what we're tapping and clearing.
not being good at something is frustrating.
Yeah.
I feel powerless when not being able to do something well.
Yeah.
I don't like feeling it. I don't like that feeling.
Amazing. Okay. And what are you noticing now?
I quit.
Yeah.
Fuck
You
it.
know, exactly, right. So that the relationship to when we avoid things, this is learning beginner's mind, right? So there's a game called Dual N Back, which is quite a complicated game to play, and it gets exponentially more complicated, this particular game, right? And the way the game works is there's a grid of nine 3 by 3, right? The middle square doesn't count, so it's just 8 squares around the edges, right? And then a letter pops up, like R, right, in one of the squares. And then another letter pops up in a different square, like L in this corner. And then G down in this corner. And then G in this corner or somewhere else in the center here, right? And because there were two G's in a row, I pressed the button that says sound, right? Because the two there were two in a row. Right, so I'm looking for two letters in a row. That's n = 1. i.e., the previous letter was the same as this letter. Got it? Right, that's what it's looking for. Does that make sense to everyone? There's an explanation, right? So you're looking for anytime a letter is repeated, you press there's a little button that says, audio, the letter was repeated. So if the sequence was JLRR, because there's two R's, doesn't matter where they are in the grid, you would press the button, right? So because there's two in a row.
Understood.
Now, simultaneously that's happening, one of the squares, so you're hearing that, right? You're hearing the sound. One of the squares will light up. Right? So you might hear R and then this one lights up here. And you might hear G and then this one lights up. Right? And you hear L and then this one lights up. Right? And then you hear J, but then the same square lights up. So simultaneously, you're hearing for two in a row, you're looking for two in a row as well. Got it? So
Yeah.
there's a button for sound and there's a button for visual. Right? And if the same square lights up twice and it goes G, G, you press both at the same time. Right?
Okay.
So that is n equals 1. And the reason it's n equals 1, it's just one back, the previous one back. Right? So once you can do that, n equals 2. So now you're looking for a repeat in the 1, 2 back, not 1 back. So if it goes L, R, L, then you press the sound. Problem with that is you have to remember the R in the middle in case this one is also an R. Right?
Press
And
again.
And it's the same with the visual. Then n equals 3, then n equals 4, then n equals 5, and it's training fluid intelligence. So I gave this to the CEO of a consultancy company I used to work for, right? And he started it, right? Many people are like, I made a mistake, right? As he started to get it wrong, he got so dysregulated, he goes, I'm not playing, right? Because it messed with his identity, right? And this is a challenge. If you've always been good at things, right? And we present to the world with, being accomplished and intelligent. I had to go to improv and to clown school to make a complete idiot of myself in order to get over my Cambridge education and like I can't be seen to make a mistake and you have to be perfect at everything. I literally had to go to clown school to make a complete idiot of myself to get over that. Right. I think there are easier ways, right? Right. Because the comfort of relaxing around, I'm not good at this, I don't know how to do this, and I'll be clumsy and it'll be messy and I'm going to fumble through it. This is a superpower, right? Not only does it free us from our persona and have to show up in all situations in a certain way, but our learning just goes up exponentially. Because the challenge is if it's too difficult, we just don't do it. Like we're reluctant and we won't do it, right? So this tapping on the bit you didn't quite do is the tapping on when I get these things, the signal is to stop rather than continue, right? I want to encourage you to go into things that feel messy, clumsy, that you're not able to do, that feel like you're useless, knowing cognitively that if you will get better at it very quickly, the only way you won't get better at it is if you never do it. Right. So this whole thing is a trick, right? Because not only did you work on it like on the thing, but actually you got 3 reps or 4 reps of practicing the same thing and even saw you get better at it even over 3 reps. Right? Right. That's why we went meta and applied it to itself.
Yeah.
Right? See, this thing about looking it up is, can I think it first and then do it? Right? Is a way of trying to avoid making mistakes or errors or exploring. Right? And this is a completely legitimate way to do things. Right? But I want to encourage having the capacity to do it the other way around. Because there are some things in life, especially if you're going to create something new that no one's ever done before, is there's nothing to compare it to. Right? You have to go and like literally bootstrap yourself into areas of human experience that no one's ever been before. Right. So that willingness to be clumsy and break new ground. Yeah. Right.
I was going to say, like some of the other things we've done, the mudras and or even just taking your attention, 5 feet out to the left or 5 feet out to the right, and playing with space and alignment as you've had me and others do in the past. Uh, I enjoy or like those physical things, or shifting attention. Um, I don't get much out of this because it's the words again that are spoken with this that I just throw my hands up and be like, I don't get it. I don't have it.
And that's why Tapas Fleming has an 8-week course on it. Right. But it's for me, it's not quite, you can learn that, but what you've done is you've learned another technique, right? Whereas I'm using these techniques to help you explore how your system operates. Not every technique has to work, right? So there's a value in the things that are native to you, and there's a value in the things that we struggle with in terms of transformational dilemmas. So in terms of this one, by the way, with the TAT pose, you can do it without words. Just feel the thing that is painful, difficult, challenging, 7, 8 out of 10, and hold the pose and just wait until you feel a shift. Don't need any words. And the reality
Yeah,
is
because
some things
I
work
get
for some,
more when you tell us you put your feet on the floor and take a breath.
right?
That instantly, like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
there.
Do you
And
know
there
how
are no
that's
words spoken then.
By the way, the way that's operating is some of this is transmission, right? I'm in a certain state when I'm doing these things, right? And all I'm really looking for every now and then is that someone has a gap that's just big enough that their system can receive that state change. Because we're always in connection as human beings, right? And um, to the best of my ability, I remain in a present, grounded, neutral, flowing, hopefully playful kind of state, right? And so that is the intervention. Part of the intervention is an interaction not just with me, but with the field. And if the person's locked up, right? So just any moment, which is what the jokes are about, any moment that that's relaxed, there's the possibility of transformational change. This is in the Buddha story with Ananda, which is the Buddha's cousin, I think it was. And he's he's got to be enlightened by a certain day. I can't remember why. Anyway, so he's meditating all night, right? And really, what that is in Zen is it's building up energy. Joriki, it's called. It's like you're heating up a chemical so it can transform much more easily. Or in the breath of fire, it's that whole pranayama thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, he's meditating all night, and then he goes to put his head on the pillow, and the fire crackles, and that crackle is enough to create a sudden kind of shift and an opening and awakening and a move. So sometimes the spontaneous and the surprise is creating room for something to happen, some change, right? One of my thoughts is that when people start a new modality, it works very effectively for a while and then stops working because the reason it's working is novelty, right? Because they're rewiring and making new associations, not because, and that's why the technique stops working because it becomes familiar, right? So one of the reasons here I have like endless creativity and there's constantly new things and like, where is he going with this, right? It's kind of got to be not boring in its very nature in order to keep the movement going. And when someone does a practice for decades, there is a danger that they just do it in a kind of dead way. One of my mentors is kung fu person. He goes, "There's dead kung fu and alive kung fu. When you're practicing, you've got to make sure every time you do it, it is completely alive. Otherwise, you're just robotically going through the motions." Right. So
Yeah. Um, Well, that's why I felt like giving up on our exercise because I'm just stuck in a cycle of trying to identify the negative, right? And I don't feel like that's very helpful after 10 rounds of saying, whatever.
So let me say it slightly differently then, which is it's not the negative, it's just any gap, right? So it doesn't have to be negative. So you could say, um, uh, you're trying to create a gap. So let's say, are you still doing that massive project, the multi-million? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So the intention is to become aligned with everything that needs to happen. So you go, even though I'm doing this project, are you okay if I say the number? I think I can remember the number.
It's 20.
Oh, it's gone up. I thought it was 15 last time.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get more units out of it. So
Okay, all right. So when
that's
I
the
think
revenue. The
about doing
cost has
this,
gone up too.
all right. So when I think about doing this $20 million project,
When I think about doing this $20 million project,
something happens in my body.
something happen. A lot happens in my body.
I choose to relax and release this now,
I choose to relax and release this now,
so I can be aligned with what everything I have to do.
so I can be aligned with everything I have to do.
Release the fears, the contradictions, the stresses,
Fears, contradictions,
the stresses,
the stresses,
the not knowing, the uncertainty, the
the
whether
not
it'll work or
knowing, the
not.
uncertainty,
So I can become more and more aligned
so I can be more and more aligned
as the person
as the person
who just does all the things that need doing
who is the person who does all the things that need doing
to deliver a $20 million project.
to deliver a $20 million project.
Okay, deep breath. Right. There we go. Right. So all we did is we just, rather than finding negatives, we just created a gap, a goal tension between who you are, where you want to be, or what you want to do.
Okay.
This is my preference, by the way, to teach principles rather than procedures. Principles, not procedures. Maybe that'll be one of my slogans, right? Because then from
Um,
there you can generate your own.
but you cruised through that. Your first sequence or two was, the negative or the anxiety or anxiousness about it. But there was a quick progression to, I accept this, and be the person, who will do the things that have to be done. And there was a moving through it, right? I mean,
Yes, correct. It's not a procedure. Let me explain. It's not a procedure, right? It's not a standard procedure. What's happening is this. The words are mirroring the truth of the moment. That's what this thing means about they need to be true, right? So when I say do a $20 million project, a whole bunch of stuff arises, which is what happened, right? Then the words match the thing that arises. As it cleared, right, then the words change to match the thing that's arising, which is the positive. The inside and the outside are unified. I mean, that takes some practice, right?
Mhm.
Right. But it's not a head procedure of going first do the negative, then do the positive, right? It's real time aligned with what's happening in the moment. The words are matching the state.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, who's next? I put a couple of hours. I actually put another half an hour because part of this is I just wanted to, using this as a way of explaining or putting forward why this is different. What's different about this compared to kind of conventional change work? Much of conventional change work is there's a kind of a methodology that holds the structure of how to become self-evolving. And then I'm doing 3 sessions, and on Monday. I'm not sure I'll do the middle one because we'll be in Iceland. But the program starts on the 29th of January, of June, which is Life Evolution 6 months, 12 people maximum. And over the next those 3 sessions, I'm really going to put forward really what this is as best as I can describe it with lived demonstrations of there is a way over not that long, 6 months, to become way more self-evolving. Some of you have been with me for 4 months over the last program. That was only 9 live sessions, and you've seen the shifts and changes in people. This is doable now. The technology exists. Sounds a bit arrogant to say, but I figured it out. It's not anything that complicated. I'm explaining it, right? So, uh, thank you, everyone. Like, I'll stay for a bit. Mohan, if you want to play with something, I'd be honored to show you some things. Uh, and then we can go from there. Yeah, Mohan.
You have it only on weekdays? You don't do it on weekends? I mean,
It's a good question. No, I have it on weekdays. Yes. Are you not available during the?
yeah, right. Plus, I'm also in San Diego, so most of your classes start like 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays, and that is hard. And today it happened to be at 12 o'clock my time, so it was convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just moved to Dubai,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So I'm actually, and so what I'm going to try and do is start 9 a.m. in West Coast, uh, noon ET, which is like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. for me. I might even do it 1 hour later than that. I know it's going to be 1 hour later than that. So it'll be 10 a.m. Through, uh, 10 a.m., 1 p.m. East Coast, 6 p.m. in the UK, which will be the timings for that one. But yeah, it is a challenge because people are in different places around the world. Um, is there anything you'd like to play with, explore, I can share with you, show you? By the way, I've worked with these guys before, so I've been much more firm and direct and immediate, so I'll be more gentle if you want.
That helps. No, I guess my question is to how to deal with anxieties, and then I can understand some of the tapping that can help, and I feel more relaxed when I do the tapping.
Mhm.
So I think that helps.
Okay. We can do a little thing now that's very gentle.
Uh,
Right. I can drop back into much more yin, right? Uh, and softer as I pull my energy back. And is it kind of more general or in specific instances?
There are specific instances, yeah.
Okay. So have you got one of those? You don't have to go into credible detail, but have you got one of those where when it happens, you feel anxious?
Yeah, in general, I mean, I can talk about my work-related stuff. So anytime a new project comes up and there's a sudden anxiety that shows up, oh, how am I going to do this? Where am I going to find information? How will I make progress? I had to show results pretty soon. How do I do that? I mean, so those are the things that arise, and it takes a couple of days for me to pick up enough information, gather information, and start working on it.
Got it. And do you work in a company? Do you work for yourself in a company? And how often does this happen? What's the gap between projects? Is it like months? Is it
Yeah,
weeks? Is
but
it
about every 2 months.
every 2 months? Okay. And in all the times that have gone historically, after 2 or 3 days, how do you feel then?
I get the confidence I can do this. I have a path forward. I have a process
Got
that
it.
I can follow. Yeah.
Got it. And so how many times has this happened? Like are we talking 6 times in the last year, 12 times in the last 2 years?
Oh, yeah, 6 to 12 times in between. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Got it. Right. So you got because it's interesting, right? You've got lots of evidence that it will be fine,
Yeah.
right? But somehow that information is not translating into the next time and the next time and the next time.
I think it's more of a performance anxiety. Oh, I got to do this. I got to show results. Otherwise, I won't have a job, and I will be, kind of, I won't have the status that I deserve.
Correct.
And yeah, right.
And that's fine. But the anxiety is that I won't be able to do it, even though you've done it six
Right.
times, 12
Yeah,
times.
right.
So the interesting thing is why, and we'll get to how to do it. The curiosity is how come having evidence that you can do it, you have done it, you know how to do it, you even know why. It's really interesting, don't you think, that it still creates anxiety?
Yes. I mean, I think that it's a fear of failure. Maybe I won't be able to do it this time. I've been able to do it all this time.
That
Now
was
this
just
is a new one. Yeah.
that was just lucky. I
Yeah.
just got
Right.
lucky every single time. I was just lucky. What would happen if um some penny dropped? Do you have that phrase in America? The penny drops. It's like if something clicked. If something suddenly you realized, oh, I've done this lots of times. I do know how to do this. Right. What stops you? What stops that landing in your body as like a confidence?
I mentally, I know I would be able to do it. It's just that at that moment, something comes up. There is some kind of anxiety, the fear of the unknown. And the next question is, how long will this go on? How many times I have to do this?
Good. Okay. So we're going to do it today. This is doable. Now, here's how we're going to do it. There's a sequence that lasts 2 days or 3 days.
Yeah.
Call it a week, right? So you get anxious, right? And then some things happen in the world, and then you're not anxious. True? Okay. Right. So that sequence means your neurology knows how to get from anxious to not anxious. Right? But right now it's making it conditional on the world.
I didn't get it, the last sentence.
Right. So right now I can only reduce the anxiety once I have the information, I've made my plan, I've understood what's going on. Right.
Right.
Now, tune into this that let's say you get the project on Monday morning. Right. If I came to you a Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock and said, okay, Mohan, tell me what we're doing, how we're doing it, uh, uh, what's the project, what's your plan, what would happen?
I'll start mumbling.
Exactly. Okay. So just hold the TAT pose because here's basically that's what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Which is the expectation that you're supposed to be able to do it is like instant. Right. So the day they put it on your desk, you think you've got to be able to do it, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
feel that right now and take a breath. Rather than I'll see you on Thursday, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I've just picked it up. So take a breath. Right. And the fear of not being able to say that. Right. Notice the should. I should be able to do it immediately. Right. There we go. Breathe. Right. And I must never say I can't do it or I don't know how.
Let's say I can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then rub these 2 points here. Breathe and say, I can say I don't know how to do it.
I can't say I don't have to do it.
I don't know how to do it
I don't know how to do it. Yeah.
because you just gave me the file 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Okay, Haven, a couple of times. Right. And take a breath. And what are you noticing?
Or relaxed.
Okay.
And then Maybe it's okay to say I don't know.
Yeah. No. And I don't, and actually it's even better said, I don't know yet because I haven't looked at it. Right. And if I told you now, that would be irresponsible. Right.
Right.
I haven't even looked at it yet. I just got it 2 minutes ago. It's going to take me 2 or 3 days. Now, tune in, think about someone who's a really demanding boss, right? And just completely not like is completely lacking in understanding. Who's the most kind of terrifying version you can get of this?
I mean, I had people tell me that you don't even know to do this, right? I mean, this is so simple, they should know by now. There are people who said that to me. Yeah,
Okay, so tap here. And is that true or not true?
it is true. Yeah.
That you should know how to do it?
I mean, they said, you don't even know how to do this. Yeah. Don't you know even, I mean, you don't even know how to do this? You know, that is the question. It should have been known to me
Again,
already. Yeah, right.
yeah, yeah. So tap here, right? Now, what I'm asking you is it realistic to expect you to be able to do something before you've even looked at the project? Is this something you're meant to know how to do objectively or not? No, right. So listen to them saying their words, right? Tap here, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I want you to properly evaluate what they're saying, that it doesn't hold any credibility. Right. Are you Asian background, Indian background?
Indian, yeah.
Right. So you know that with, I'm going to guess that with our parents, right, they had the truth, and right,
Yeah.
we didn't know anything. Right. So breathe. I mean, you might have had like kind, patient parents that gave you all the space to learn. I don't know. Unlikely, I'm guessing. Okay, deep breath. Okay, what are you noticing?
I will not hold inside whatever they told me. I can just let it not stick to me.
Good,
So I
good.
won't let it affect me. Yeah.
Yeah. And does that feel like that now? Like it can just flow through?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay. Right. So notice here, we're not just dealing with this situation, we're also dealing with the relationship to authority, the relationship to other people's words and criticism, standing in our own truth, that you're not meant to know how to do something. You know, I had this. My parents would just assumed I should be able to do everything instantly, like without any learning time at all. Right. And the irony is I got so good at, this is going to sound really weird now, so good at being psychic that by the time, literally psychic, that by the time the maths teacher was writing things on the board, I already knew what he was going to write before he wrote it. That's how scared I was of not knowing how to do something. Right. I was terrified into being psychic, right? For survival issue, for survival. Right. So take a breath. So find your center, let your energy drop into your belly. And now tune into the fact that every single other time after 3 days or 4 days, you do know what you're doing. Right. And now look at the entire thing, not just each time. Because what's happening is when that state of consciousness arises, it doesn't have access to the rest of all the other times. So what happens if you zoom out and think about the first time you didn't know what to do, and then you did after 3 or 4 days, and then the second time, and then you did after 3 or 4 days, and the third time, this is boring, but and you did after 3 or 4 days, and the fourth time you did, and after 3 or 4 days, right? We have to run the examples enough times that the sequence runs all the way through. So the minute you think, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to find things, right? That you go, oh yeah, I found things last time. I didn't know where they were. I figured out how to figure out where they were. I put them together. I made a plan. Right. What are you noticing?
More of an evolution kind of thing. I am evolving. And the fear is normal, and I can overcome it. And
I think so. Yeah. Um, I mean, this makes sense, right? To have some anticipation, right? But what this is why these secondary skills become valuable, the ability to handle the unknown. Like even like with Roy, when you're about to do a new project you've never done before, of course things are going to come up that you've not seen before and not addressed before, people you've not met before. This is normal, right? Right. So, all right. So what we want for today with you is just to notice that shifts are possible, right? That changes are
right.
possible. Yeah. Uh, and even that, I think, does reduce helplessness or anxiety because we go, oh, even though I have this fear or this reaction, I can do something about it. And that's a good thing to know. Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, everyone take a breath. Tia, I just wanted to check in on something.
Sure.
Okay, how are you feeling now?
Um, Honestly, I'm just hoping to like go into that split and like sit in it for a while by myself and like I'm curious how much more sensation I can feel other than just danger get out of it.
Yeah, so here's my encouragement, and it's a very like because you still have it as success failure, I want to just sit in it,
Right.
right? Right, and I'm going to strongly encourage you to not do that.
Okay.
So, do you remember I said when we pick a task, we want the emotional challenge to be like a 2 or a 3 or a 4, not a 10,
Mhm.
right? So, I want you to set it up so you can do the stretch, right? But where it's a 2, 3, or a 4 and get comfortable with that, right? Because if you fire off the I have to get out of this and then you just suppress it, this is completely useless,
Right. Yeah.
right? So see if you can set it up so you're actually supported at that level of stretch where you go, hey, I can do this. This is actually all right until you get bored, right? Right. And all your system relaxes and then go from there.
Sounds good. So be less ambitious.
Yeah, so what happens in your system? Because the irony is, it's taken you this long by pushing and forcing and demanding, right? Here's the irony: it's the enlightened master thing. How long if I try really hard? 20 years, right? You can be really ambitious, but we're talking now about being skillful about how you're ambitious.
Thanks for the reminder.
Okay, all right. All right, thanks, guys. All right, so we'll just do a wrap up. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? No. All right.
Do you record your sessions? Or
So, say
do you
again?
record your sessions?
I do.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
These. By the way, is everyone here okay if I use some of this it'll only be for, it won't go anywhere like fully public. It's just with the people that to invite them to the next 3 sessions that lead up, right? And anything we've done where you don't want it, just tell me. If you don't want to say it publicly, send me an email. I don't put anything anywhere that people don't want, and that's 100% okay, right? Always, right? So the priority for me of the comfort and safety of the people in the room is paramount, right? And there's no zero hesitation in that, right? You go, yeah, I don't feel like it right now, right? And it's fine, 100% fine, right? I'm always very careful if I share anything that it basically makes the people look amazing, right? Right. So that's, demonstrates that they are taking charge of their own change rate. They're making shifts and changes that something to be proud of, right? But I understand the whole context about social vulnerability and all the rest of it. So it's actually on the sign up. It's there but I saw a contract recently and they said if you sign up with us, we can use anything you do for any promotional. Thanks, Roy, for any promotional thing we want. And I was like, I'm not signing that. right? Because that it's just not the principles I operate by. So, all right. Okay, so put your feet on the ground, and for a couple of hours, 2.25 hours, we've been primarily today looking at the systemic nature of change, and that sometimes less is more. Right? Thanks to you. And the reason is because if we go too far too quickly, we're actually engaging further resistance that then we have to fight with. Right? Whereas if you go the right amount, no problem, Mohan, right? If you go the right amount and you settle and balance with that, and then the next day go a bit more, and then go a bit more. Sometimes going slower allows you to go faster, right? Because you're not. Imagine the situation in the gym where you're going, I want to lift 100 kilograms, and every day I go, I lift 100 kilograms and injure myself, and then I have to take 3 weeks off, and then I injure myself. Right? This is actually slower than if I go at the pace I can assimilate and integrate. Right? It is the smart move, right? And it's the quickest way. So, as we continue with this, I want the part of your mind that is starting to realize that a lot of this work is now about the relationship to change itself rather than being so focused on each individual change. We are setting ourselves to become more and more evolving. And then what you saw there with the relationship to learning, with the demo with Roy, is powerful, right? If every new situation we go in, there's very little interference, any little concern about whether we can do it or not, a deep trust that just because we're engaging, we're going to learn. Our nervous systems can pattern incredibly quickly, way faster than most people are allowing, because there's noise in the way. Right? And so the aim here is to set yourself up for learning, evolving, and growing, beginner's mind, patterning and repatterning the world. Never step in the same river twice. With that in mind, gently open your eyes. Thank you for coming. And I'll send those things out. Feel free to join any of the free sessions. And I will see you at another time. All right. Lots of love. Bye for now. Take care. Casimir, if you just unmute for a second. Question for you. Would you be... Yeah, I can hear you. Would you be okay if I used your demo at the beginning? Because it was short, it was kind of very clear, it illustrated the principles.
It's in the chat. Fine with me too.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. That was a nice piece of change work, by the way. And I'm glad things are moving
Thank
now.
you.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Bye-bye.
Oh, were you going to say something?
No, just bye-bye.
Okay, bye.